Hey guys, here's a video on how to constrain your parts together and assemble them. To do so, you're going to need to click on a new file, make sure you're in the metric tab and go standard mm. Once that loads, you're going to place in your parts. We'll start off with the sides. So load in your parts, just put in 2 at a time. So 1, 2, and then I'm pressing escape so that I don't put any more in. In order for these parts to go together, I'm going to need to flip one of them because I'm going to need this male component to go inside the female groove, which is on the other side here. To do that, I'm going to free rotate the part first. So I'll move that around. Free rotate can be a little bit tricky, but it's just a matter of getting your part as close as you can to where it's going to be once it's together. So that's good enough for me to begin with. If you don't have it close to where you want it, it's not going to have much fun at all when it constrains. So if I now click on Constrain, there's 2 options here, mate and flush. We went over this a lot in class so that you can see the difference between a mate and flush. What we come up with is that mates stick together. So you try and remember that. Any 2 surfaces that you click, if I was to click those 2 surfaces and click on mate, the surfaces would stick together, and the picture tries to describe it. And flush is when we make something the same height or make it line up at the ends. So I'm going to start off by clicking this surface and this surface, and I'm going to make them, it's defaulted to mate, so it's stuck them together. I want them to be flush. And then I'll click OK. It's kind of moved my drawing around, but that's all cool. I'm going to now say, well, okay, I want, if I shift it around, I want this surface and that surface to be flush as well. So if I go Constrain, and I make them not mate, but I make them flush. So this is a problem a few students were having today, is they do that as a mate, and then you've mated those 2 surfaces and you'll never get them to line up. So make sure it's flush. I click OK. I can now move this backwards and forwards. Placing it there and going, oh, that lines up, is not good enough, because later when I move the whole job, you'll lose that placement. So there's 2 ways I could do this. I could go Constrain, and I could make that surface and that surface flush, and that would make them line up. Or I could mate this surface here, I'm holding shift in the middle mouse wheel, and that surface, if they were to stick together, that would give me the same result. So we might do that one. So I go that surface and that surface, and they're mating. I click OK, and that's lined up. So now I know I've succeeded because I grab any one of these shapes and I move it and it all stays together. I would go place again, side. I'll put that in. And as I drag it across and up, this is where it gets a bit tricky with your mouse. I'm pretty happy with that. I've got male going into female there. So what I can do is, actually I'm not happy with that at all. That's the top of it. So I need to rotate that around. So if I click on that and I go free rotate, I need to get that around to where I want it, which is there, I'm pretty sure. Press escape. So now that I move that, they're lining up somewhat. Not perfect, but it is close enough for me. I can then go Constrain that surface with that surface, and I want them to be flush. Oh, what's happened there? I'm going to cancel that one. And we'll go back, shift middle mouse wheel. I'm just going to go free rotate. I'm going to get this a little bit better if I can. Like I said, the rotate command can be a little bit tricky. I'm now going to move that one down. That's looking a lot better. What I might do this time is I'm going to go Constrain, and I'll select that surface under there and one that it can mate to. Happy with that. I'll click OK. Can now drag that across, and I could say that I want to go Constrain this surface with that one, and it's going to be, well, there's a mate and the mate's clearly not working, so I'll flush, make some flush, click OK, and drag that across. Once again, that's not rock solid, so I would go Constrain, select the surface that I want to be flush, click OK, my box is coming together. I won't bore you with the rest of it, but basically I'm going to place in another side and then I'll place in my top. The main thing you need to realise is the difference between a mate and a flush. The other thing that is going to help you out is if you over constrain something, you'll get a little warning dialog box come up, or you might not be able to get it to work. So if you click over here, you can see all of the mates and all of the flushes that you've done so far in relation to what part. You can hover over and you can go, okay, well that's not working, I need to delete some of these constraints.